Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's weather forecast, I will be covering the parade of snowstorms across the northern and the northeastern United States through this upcoming weekend. Then an atmospheric river of rain and snow will move into the west coast, including California, late this week into this weekend. And then a northeast snowstorm will be possible, including the I-95 corridor as we get into the middle of next week. If you guys are with me on the video, do not forget to press the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on all of my daily weather forecast updates each and every morning at 9 a.m. on this channel. I cover Canada, the United States, and the tropics here on the channel, so don't forget to press the subscribe button down below. We are quickly approaching 25,000 subscribers thanks to all the new subscribers out there. And also don't forget to press the like button down below, guys. It's the thumbs up button. Let's try to get over 1,000 likes here on the video again today. Thank you guys so much for liking the video. And I do want to mention we do have a live stream coming up this evening at 6 o'clock here. This live stream will include a breakdown of short-term weather pattern, the Midwest snowstorm with the latest on the track, timing and amount of snow across those areas. And we'll also cover the atmospheric river with rain and snow amounts across the west. And we'll also talk about the potential nor'easter with the latest thoughts on that, the breakdown of the long-term weather pattern, and much more. So again, the link for this live stream is in the description down below the video. So make sure as you hit that link to get to the live stream that you like the live stream by pressing that thumbs up button down below, so we get as many people as possible to join the live stream this evening at 6 o'clock Central Daylight Time. But as we move into the West Coast, that atmospheric river is going to be packing a punch here. We have widespread flood watches across California, widespread winter storm watches, and also winter storm warnings where we are gearing up for several feet of snow in the coming days. And this is just the start of it here. So on Wednesday today, March 8th, we do have a lot of that moisture farther south and west. We have some precipitation, but again, it's not overly heavy. But watch as we get into late this week on Friday, March 10th, we see an atmospheric river of moisture moving in onshore to the west coast, really centered across central and coastal portions there of California by Friday, and that continues largely through the weekend, not only for Saturday, but even on Sunday, March 12th as well. You can see these green anomalies showing up, and that's at least 2 to 3 standard deviations above climatology for rainfall out here in moisture, so that is definitely a concern moving forward. So looking today at noon, we got some higher elevation snows. It's not going to be overly heavy, but we definitely could see some heavier bursts of snow at times. But then that will move farther north and east into the northern Rockies this evening, and we'll start to dry out a little bit across Nevada here and California and much of the west coast this evening, kind of the calm before the storm. But as we move into tomorrow now, Thursday, March 9th at noon, we're going to start to see a big surge of moisture moving in by Thursday afternoon here with higher elevation snow and coastal rains across especially northern and northwestern California, western coastline of Oregon, and then up to western Washington state as well. And then that moves on shore Thursday evening, and that is when our big surge of moisture will be moving inland, with widespread heavy flooding rains and widespread very heavy snow, especially the Sierra Nevadas here. We're definitely going to be talking about feet of snow on the way starting Thursday evening. That will take us through the day on Friday, and that will move even farther inland here, encompassing more of Nevada, Idaho, getting into eastern portions of Washington state, into Oregon, and portions of western Montana as well. And that continues largely through Friday evening as well. So this is a multi-day period of precipitation. But looking at the total rainfall accumulation across the Pacific Northwest from now through this weekend on Saturday, March 11th, definitely seeing some very heavy rain out here across western Washington state, western Oregon, and especially down here into northern and northwestern California. Widespread 1 to 3 inches worth of rain across these areas, and that does include the Seattle region, down through Portland, Oregon, and even portions of the Eugene, Oregon area as well, and then even farther south into northern California with the higher amounts over 3 inches in a couple of these areas. And then looking at the total snowfall accumulation across the Pacific Northwest here from today through Saturday as well, these higher elevation ski resorts out here will be loving the snowfall with widespread feet of snow in the higher elevations here of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, even western Wyoming here near the Salt Lake City area, and then especially back into northern California with those higher snowfall rates. But then moving farther south, now we're talking about the total rainfall accumulation across the Pacific Southwest now from now through Saturday, March 11th, and we see widespread 1 to 3 plus inches of rainfall just through this weekend across coastal California here, and that stretches down here towards San Francisco, Santa Barbara, even portions of the Los Angeles regions receiving at least some rainfall getting through this weekend. And looking at that threat for heavy rain, we do have a flash flood probability to talk about here from Thursday, March 9th into Friday, March 10th, a widespread zone of a slight to moderate risk for flash flooding. That's at least a 50% chance of flash flooding across central and coastal California getting through late this week. And then that even continues with another moderate risk for flash flooding, especially in the Sierra Nevadas with some of that snow melt and additional snow accumulation going through Friday into Saturday. And again, coastal California here will see that slight risk for flash flooding, and even that marginal risk extends up into northern California and western Oregon there into the coastline of the west coast of Oregon. And then that even continues into Saturday and Sunday as well with a marginal to slight risk for flash flooding, especially across northern and central California. So looking at the seasonal snowfall accumulation for the Sierra Nevada mountain range out here into California since the end of 2022 here, we definitely have seen 300, 400, 500, even up to 600 inches of snowfall since then, and we're going to be adding to these totals in a big way. In fact, the total snowfall accumulation here across these areas through just Saturday, March 11th, we'll be adding on another 2 to 4 feet worth of snowfall here, especially across the central and southern Sierra Nevada mountains here into portions of California. So definitely going to be adding to those totals in a big way. But as we move to the north now and farther to the east across the northern plains and the upper Midwest, we already do have winter storm watches already for our next winter storm across these areas. This includes the Twin Cities region toward Minneapolis, St. Paul there, Rochester, Minnesota, La Crosse, Wisconsin, down towards Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, and then the Dubuque, Iowa area. And that extends across all of northern Iowa and parts of northwestern Illinois. And I feel like those alerts will be expanding because we have a very big area of energy spiraling in from the west coast here into the Pacific Northwest this afternoon. That will kick out across the northern and central plains by Thursday, March 9th tomorrow, and then finally move farther east into the western and central Great Lakes by the time we get to late this week on Friday, March 10th. And this energy is going to be coupling with colder air moving down from the north from Canada, and that will be an opportune time for some snowfall. So looking here at Wednesday, March 8th, it is quiet up here across these areas, maybe some scattered sprinkles with the warmer air at the surface into Iowa here, western Illinois by this afternoon, but all that main energy feed is over here into the Pacific Northwest with those higher amounts of snow. But that will move across the northern and central plains by the time we get into Thursday morning. So we're starting to see snow here eastern Montana, northeastern Wyoming, and much of South Dakota here, including the Rapid City area, and then extending farther east towards southwestern Minnesota by 6 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. Farther south, it's too warm for snow, so we see rain and even some thunderstorms down here into Kansas, the Kansas City region, down towards Wichita here, the Tulsa region, and even down here into Little Rock as well with some very heavy rain. And then all this moisture moves eastward, but with that colder air, we're going to see some moderate snowfall kicking up here across portions of the Minneapolis-St. Paul region, Rochester, Minnesota, down into parts of Wisconsin here through Iowa, northern Illinois toward the Chicagoland area on northward toward Milwaukee as well. That will be on 6 o'clock on Thursday evening, and then that will slowly meander its way farther to the east across Michigan here into portions of northwestern Ohio, northern Indiana by 6 a.m. on Friday. So places like Grand Rapids, Lansing, Kalamazoo, Detroit, and even down there toward the Toledo region. into Ohio, we may start to be seeing some light to moderate snowfall Friday morning. And looking at the total snowfall accumulation from Thursday tomorrow on March 9th through Saturday, March 11th, we do see some decent snow across the northern plains and especially the western Great Lakes, where we could be seeing over 6 inches of snow in a narrow zone. Down here into the Dakotas, into portions of Minnesota, northern Iowa, a general 3 to 6 inch snow event is expected across these areas, with the higher totals of 6 inches likely across southern Minnesota here and northern portions of Iowa here, Des Moines on northward. And then it also looks like that moves downstream as well, with a good 5 to 9 inches worth of snow here across northeast Iowa, southeastern Minnesota, much of south central Wisconsin. That extends across central portions of lower Michigan, and then maybe a narrow zone of about 2 to 4 inches worth of snow across far northern Illinois near that Highway 20 corridor, getting over toward I-90 here just west of Chicago. So the northern suburbs of Chicago and Milwaukee here will see those higher totals, possibly over 6 inches through Saturday. And then even farther east, maybe a good 1 to 3 inches with an isolated 4-inch total across places like New York State, getting into northern Pennsylvania here, northern New Jersey, and extending farther east here towards Cape Cod as we go through that Sunday morning time frame. And again, this will be causing some travel difficulties as well, with that minor to moderate travel inconveniences in this yellow and orange shaded colors across the upper Midwest, the northern plains, and the Great Lakes through Saturday morning. So you definitely want to leave with plenty of time out the door if you have to go to work or anything like that on Saturday or even on Friday as well. So definitely want to be mindful of that. But it's also going to be producing lots of rainfall farther to the south. You can see these purples and reds showing up down here across the Arklatex and the central Gulf Coast states just through Sunday, March 12th. We'll be adding on a good 2 to 4, even 5 inches worth of rain down here across these areas here into eastern Oklahoma, much of Arkansas, northern and central Mississippi, northern and central Alabama, Tennessee, and in northern Georgia as well. This does include the Jackson, Mississippi area, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Atlanta, up here toward the Music City and Nashville, Little Rock, Memphis, and then back towards Oklahoma City and Tulsa here as well, getting through this weekend. And this is causing some concern for flash flooding here as well from Wednesday today through tomorrow on March 9th on Thursday. A slight risk for flash flooding does encompass just north of the DFW Metroplex here in northeast Texas, eastern portions of Oklahoma through central Arkansas near the Little Rock region. Then that kicks out a little farther to the east on Friday, getting across portions there of eastern Arkansas, northern Mississippi toward the Tupelo region, and then northern portions of Alabama just north of the Birmingham, Tuscaloosa region later on this week. Then another system starts to move southward out of Canada. This will be more of a clipper system by the time we get into this weekend. So right on the heels of our system this week, we'll have another weak system moving across those same areas into the northern plains and upper Midwest and bringing a lot of the same areas more additional snow on Saturday. That slowly moves to the east on Sunday. It's going to be all rain to the south and all snow to the north where it is colder on Sunday. And then that finally moves off across the East Coast on Monday, March 13th to start early next week. So definitely something to watch there. Maybe another 1 to 3 inch snow event across the northern plains and upper Midwest with that storm. But now we talk about the East Coast now, because we have another opportunity for a snowstorm by the time we get into the middle of next week. Now there's a lot of uncertainty with this, but the European forecast model does remain consistent on at least showing a deepening low pressure system here across the East Coast and potentially including the I-95 corridor with maybe some heavy snow getting through the middle of next week. And the GEFS Ensemble guidance is also pretty similar as well, but it's a little bit more onshore today in today's runs than it was yesterday. So that does mean there are differences with whether or not we see rain farther north or snow farther south here toward the I-95 corridor. And that is the big question going towards the middle of next week. But it does definitely look like a storm is getting increasingly more possible for the Northeast, with snow getting towards next week. But beyond there, toward the third week in March, it's going to remain cold, not only out west, but also downstream across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the East Coast below normal temperatures are favored, and a small area of above normal temperatures are favored here into central and especially southern Texas near the Rio Grande Valley by the time we get through that third week there in March through the 21st time frame. But it also looks very active. We still have that subtropical jet bringing in all that Pacific moisture across not only the west coast of California, but also the southern and central United States here. And that will move across the East Coast by the time we get through the second week and even third week now into March. And that will bring likely above normal precipitation to much of the desert Southwest into the West Coast. And then moving farther east with that subtropical jet, we could be setting up some active weather across the Southeast and parts of the Tennessee Valley by the time we get in towards that March 15th and March 21st timeframe. So to recap my weather forecast for you guys, a parade of snowstorms will continue through the northern and northeastern United States with several opportunities for several inches of snow across those areas, and then an atmospheric river with heavy snow and heavy rain across the west coast late this week into this weekend, and then a northeast snowstorm is becoming increasingly possible, including the I-95 corridor into the middle of next week. We'll be detailing that and updating that as we get closer if there are any changes that do occur between now and then. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you guys liked the video, press the thumbs up down below. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great Wednesday, everybody. A great rest of your week, and I will see you all in the next video.